Good day. Welcome to the complete AutoCAD training course 2D and 3D. We are now in lesson 6, data entry methods, the second part, relative coordinates. I'm your presenter, Virgilio Arcuanco Jr., Master in Engineering, major in ECE of Cavite State University. So, to begin our lesson, our topic for today is relative coordinates. So, the command for this coordinates for this data entry method is at the symbol at change in x, change in y. So I repeat, at delta x, comma, delta y. So our reference point will be from where our last point has been entered. So for the horizontal direction, for the delta change in x, assuming that we are no change in y, so y will be set to 0. If we want to move to the right, we have it delta x at positive, and to the left it is negative. For example, from point 1 to point 2, we want to move it 5 space to the right, so the command will be at 5 comma 0. So it will produce a line from point 1 to point 2. For the vertical direction, so upward and downward, assuming that there's no change in x, so x will be set to 0. If we want to move it upward, it's a positive number, and if we want to move it to the right, it's an downward, it is a negative number. So for example, we have point 1 p1 to p2, we want to move it upward by 5 space, so from the origin peak at p1, so we have the command at 0 for the x, then comma 5 for the y. So let us set this as an example. So we'll draw again our previous figure where we have p1, p2, p3, p4, and p5. So we'll start our line at p1 with coordinates 1 1, then move it, make a line to p2 by moving it 3 space. So let us begin our AutoCAD. Observe. So to make a line, we have L for the line command, enter, specify the line, we have 1 1, enter. So we have produced our first point at coordinate 1 1. Then we want our second line, our p2 will be 3 space from the right, so we have positive 3 for x and 0 for y. So we have the command at 3 comma 0, enter. So we have produced a line at that point. The next, we want to move it from p2 to p3, 1 space to the right and 1 space upward. So our x coordinate will be at 1 and our y will be at 1 also. So we have the command at 1 comma 1, enter. So from p3, we want to move it 2 space upward, so x will be 0, y will be 2. So we'll have at 0 2, positive 2 for its upward, Next, from P4 to P5, we want to move it to the left, so our X will become -4, wherein our Y will be 0. So our command will be at -4, comma 0, enter. Then for P5, to close our figure, P5 to P1, we will using the relative coordinates from P5 to P1, 3 space downward, so our command will be at 3 space down, our X will be 0, and for its downward, so we have -3, enter. So we have closed the line. Then to close the figure, just enter it. So we have drawn our first figure. So our next, so we have here exercise number 1. So our figure will be drawing a letter H forming by a line from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, then closing it to A. So let us set our first point here at, so we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's start at 6. So let us draw a line at 6, comma 1. So our reference point will be at 6, 1. Then, so from moving it A to B, we have 1. So at, for relative addressing, 1 to the right with no change in the vertical, so 1, 0. Then we'll move it another, from B to C is 1, for Y, X is 0. So we have at 0, 1. Then from C to D, 1 to the right, so X will be 1. There's no vertical. So at 1, comma 0. Then 1 downward from D to E, so we have at 0 for X and -1 for its downward, so -1, enter. 1 to the right, E to F, so we'll have at 1 to the right, no vertical change. Then to move it upward by 1, so we have at 0 for X and 1, no, it will be 3 space upward, 3 space upward from F to G. Then 1 space to the left, so we'll have the command at 1 space to the left, it will be -1, no change in height in the vertical position. No change in the vertical position, enter. Then 1 space downward at no change in X, comma -1. To the left, so it will be -1. So we have here at at the left -1, no 0 for the vertical. So next we from J to K it's 1 upward, no change in height, so 0 1. So we have at 0 1 for upward. Then to the left, so we have at -1, no change in height, so 0. Then downward by 3 space, so we have at no change in horizontal, then 3 down, sorry, -3 for it is downward. So we have finished our second figure, or for figure 1, exercise number 1 for L2. We have finished the figure. So next we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Let's start at line 10. So we have the next figure, figure number 2, our exercise number 2, from A to M. So let's position our starting point at this coordinate. So we have first make a line at 6 7 8 9 10 to up for its upwards. So 10 2. So that's our starting line, starting point. So from A to B, it's 1. So we have to the right, +1, no change in height, 0. Upward, no change in height, so we have at 1, sorry, what's that? B to C is upward, so no change in the horizontal, 1 upward. Then from C to D, we have it 1 to the right, so +1, and downward -1. So we have at to the right is +1, downward -1. From D to E is downward, at no change in the horizontal, -1. E to F, 2 space to the right, no change. So at 2 0. Then 2 up, 2 to the right, 2 up, so at 2 2, we have it there. So from G to H is 1.5 upward, no change in, so we have at no change in the horizontal, 0. The height will be 2.5. Is it 2.5? 1.5, sorry. $1.5, enter. So that's from G to H. it's 1.5. Then from H to I, H to I is 2 to the left. So we have at 2 to the left, it's negative 2, comma 0, no change in height in the vertical. I to J is 1 upward. No, so we have at 0, 1. J to K is 1 to the left, negative 1, comma 0. Then from K to L, 2 to the left and 1 down. So it's negative, negative. So at 2, 2 to the left, it's negative 2. What's happening? At negative 2, comma 1 down. Negative 1. The next we'll have at L to M, 1 to the left, no change in height. So negative 1, 0. Then downward from M to A, it's 2.5. So it's 1.5 and 1, so 2.5. Downward. So we have here at, there's no change in the horizontal, so it's 0. Being downwards, negative 2.5. And so we have finished the figure. So that's this figure. Then let's move it, just span it to the left, to the left, to the left, so I can work on my next figure. So our next figure is an arrow upward with beginning base here. So let's position our figure. So we have 1 to the left nga pa. So let's position it somewhere here. 10, 11, 12, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So let's start our line at 17, 1. Would that be? No. So let's change it, undo. Let's make it 18, 1. No. Still lacking. Let's undo it. 21. So that will be enough. So from point A to B, it is 2 space to the right. So at 2, no change in height, and the vertical. From B to C, it's 3 upward. So at 0, 3. C to D, 1 to the right. So at 1, 0. So we have our line So at where we are at 2 to the left and 2 upward, so it's negative 2 to the left and positive 2 for upward. Then the next we have from E to F, we have 2 to the left and 2 downward, so it's at negative 2 to the left and negative 2 for downward. Then to the right, F to G is 1, so at 1 to the right, 0 Y. Then we have 3 downward, so it will be at 0 negative 3, and there we have it. It's already close. So our figure, so let me pan it that we can see all of them. So this is our figure. It's too far. Okay, there we have it. So that's our last exercise. So we have drawn this using our relative coordinates. So see you again on our next video, where we'll be using another method of data entry. So thank you and see you soon.